daughter on the
Behind me, but it shined
youth
right
council?
in my eyes.
Great. Didn't know that.
So bad tonight.
How are you the new person on the planning commission?
Do you want me to drive on Friday?
Well, that did cross my mind.
Okay.
No, I'm just concerned.
Since you have the funnest car.
It is a fun car.
Where are you going?
To youth council mentorship.
Advisor
Mentor.
training in Salt Lake.
Have any of the names I've given you helped?
You know, I think people really prefer to be involved on a different level unless they're parents, where they can like influence decisions
Well, they can-
instead of influencing youth, which is the best thing to influence.
well, it's the most important.
And it's the most fun. And I'm mic'd. Jeff and I just came from the same place.
Oh, you did?
A very highly contested volleyball game at Green Canyon, playing Mountain Crest.
Oh,
Who
yeah,
won?
that'd probably be a
Ridgeline.
hot one.
Well,
Ridgeline.
Ridgeline, not
Green-
Mountain Crest.
Not Mountain Crest.
Ridgeline playing Green Canyon.
Who won?
Hey, Charles, did you circle your name?
And how'd it come out?
Will you
For the record,
circle
I
it
was
on that
cheering for
paper?
Bella. For the record, I was cheering for Bella.
Yes. I mean, there was a little Green Canyon blood in running it through him, but he was cheering for Ridgeline girl.
Yeah.
A neighbor girl.
There are priorities in this life.
Well, the sophomores Ridgeline won. JV was down by 2 sets when I left. Were they down by a third set when you left?
They
Started
just
with a
started,
pen.
so.
They were really
Grab
close,
some now?
hard fought sets.
I'll just go find it. It's probably on.
Mia decided she was not coming. She was going to volleyball.
Well,
She said, everyone is getting free food.
I have
Admission.
3 children in youth council, and none of them are here.
What do you do?
Why not?
Well, I told my 13-year-old if he came, he'd have to stay for the whole meeting, and he was out.
I'd do it.
How long do you think this meeting's gonna last?
Well, we could make it short. Welcome, girls. These girls are my daughter's twins. They call them the triplets on the volleyball or on the throwing team. Jumping team.
Ignore it. I'm just gonna ignore it. Such a funny thing to ask, but you have to have friends for this list.
Welcome, Youth Council. If you haven't circled your name, make sure to do that. So volleyball is not at Ridgeline.
I know.
She's going out to Green Canyon.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. They're the 2 best teams in the district.
Let's make this quick. If we can be done by 6.
I was thinking calling their names
We can,
and then, and then you can swear them in.
making quick motions.
Unless you want to do it differently, if you want to
Good
call their
idea.
names.
Motions, quick votes.
Sure.
Okay.
Up, down, vote.
Okay.
That's all we gotta do.
Done, done, done.
But I want to shake them.
Youth Council, if you haven't circled your, or didn't circle your name when you walk in, will you circle it so I don't miss anyone? Aaliyah, will you circle your name?
You think, hey, Ryan's gonna give me $100. So
If we're done by 6:30.
let's do this. Let's see if he gives me 100, okay?
I believe
The
I'd do
pressure is
same.
on.
I'll make motions.
I believe I'd match that.
Where's the time clock? Did you buy one of those time clock things
Okay.
we learned about?
Are you ready?
Like the youth council
you
used
ready?
the other night. Yeah.
It's a basketball buzzer, remember?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Providence City Council meeting Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. We appreciate this room full of people. It's nice to see so many friendly faces. So, I'm Mayor Kathleen Alder, and we have Jeff Nebeker, Brent Speth, Janelle Seeley, Carrie Kirk, and David Coons are your council members. And we will ask Brent Speth if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll please stand.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. David. Oh, never. You asked Jeff. Jeff, never mind. Jeff, would you say the prayer? Thank you.
Unless there was a volunteer from the audience that I just want to offer that opportunity. No? Okay. Our Father in heaven, we are grateful for this evening and all the moisture that we're receiving. We're grateful that we have the opportunity to have this city council meeting and live here in Providence. We're grateful for the people who live here and for their participation in this meeting. We pray for thy spirit to be with us as we discuss the items on the agenda. And we're grateful for the youth who are involved in the youth council. Bless them with all the things that they're doing. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you. Okay, council reports. We have a volunteer to start out. Carrie?
So I've had a busy couple of weeks with city council stuff. Janelle and Ryan and I were able to get together with Chris Wilson and Casey Snyder after my snarky comments about not getting together with them last month. They very much obliged us and spent some time going over the concerns that we've had with state overreach and upcoming taxes, and I am grateful for their time and their service. They promised that they will have fewer bills this year than last year, that they're not going to continue to reach new heights in numbers of goals. So we'll see how, or a number of bills. So we'll see how they do with that. But it was good to meet with them, and I encourage you to follow what the state is doing because it very much affects what's happening in your daily lives. Most of us went to the ULCT conference. I used to come back with a whole list of things to do, and I just have been less overwhelmed with ideas for the last few conferences, but I did attend both days. So I have kind of an exciting announcement that I have mentioned to the youth council, but this pertains to all of us. We were invited to be part of a grant program at Utah State. The youth council was. The grant is called Teens Lifting Teens. And not only are they going to supplement our budget with $1,000, they also are going to have 3 leadership conferences a year for teens in our youth council to go to. We'll get to send up to 8 teens to each of the conferences. And so besides the one we always go to in March, there'll be 3 additional that are part of this grant. So I'm excited about the possibilities with that. And Janelle and I and a couple other parents are going to a training on Friday to learn more about that grant and just more about teen mentorship and teen leadership. So that's kind of exciting. A few of us attended the indoor rec update meeting on Monday. Brent and I were there for the first 45 minutes. And when Janelle got off the phone with her missionary and showed up, I happily left so that there wouldn't be 3 of us at the meeting. Brent said, "You should have told me, I would have left." I was like, "No, I was good." But it's very interesting what's happening with the possibility of a new rec center and what Nibley's doing. And if you're interested, I can send you slides of the possibilities, but ultimately we would like to see the voters decide what happens with a rec center on the south end of the valley. Yesterday, sorry, this is a longer list than my normal council report. Yesterday, I helped the youth council host the Meet the Candidate night. If you weren't there, take time to watch online and be an educated voter. The youth who were there did an awesome job asking questions and filtering the questions. I was so proud of them and the good job they did in hosting that. I've been having extensive conversations with residents about concerns with the excavation and mining that's taking place above Grandview Drive, and helping them to understand that separating the rocks from the soil is actually helping there to be less traffic than there would be if they hauled everything out of that development. I'm hoping that we can have a great discussion about the items tonight, and I've talked to a few people who are stakeholders in the items on the agenda. And then I just want to express love to our community. I am so grateful to be a part of this community. I see you out at football games and at volleyball games and around town, and I am grateful to live here in a loving and caring place.
Thank you. Who's next?
So I, like Carrie and a couple of us, we attended the ULCT conference in Salt Lake City. A couple of the sessions I found interesting were sessions about new developments in AI, and maybe need this a little closer, and how governments can kind of get ahead of the curve on some of the developments, and also how we can use those to our benefit. There's some interesting things out there, and also another one was about data protection. How do you protect residents' data? How do you protect your own data? So there's a lot of interesting ideas. There's a lot of people out there in other countries trying to hack into even local government systems and gain access to sensitive information. So it's good to know about some of those things and just what's on the horizon technology-wise. For Just Serve, I mentioned last time that I've got a few projects up in the Meadow Ridge Park, and our local business Next Meters has volunteered that they've got 15 or 20 people that are going to come and spruce up the park a little bit for us. So there's some things like tilling up the volleyball court or painting the basketball court, some other tree trimming, and I don't even remember what's all on there, but they're going to take care of that. I believe October 25th is the date. So, and then we'll put some more things up and just keep it rolling. Mosquito abatement, no more exciting talk about the West Nile virus, since that's all basically over with for the season. We're moving into exciting talk about budgets and fun things like that. That's the next stuff for our meetings. So nothing really new to report there. It was great to go to the Meet the Candidates night last night and hear what everybody had to say, and again, echoing Carrie, the youth council did a good job, and it was fun to see them out and kind of moderating that. What else do we have? Yeah, other than that, just some resident calls, emails, kind of the typical stuff. That's about it for me. Thanks.
Go ahead. Carrie mentioned a bunch of the things that I've also done. Another thing that I participated in is the South Cache Communities That Care. They work on substance abuse prevention work for risk youth, and they're making a lot of progress, and they would love some more community involvement. And I'm going to remind myself that I have to talk more into the microphone, because someone reminded me last night at Meet the Candidates that it'd be really awesome if we could bookmark our meetings based on the agenda item. And they even volunteered to help do that, which is awesome. And to speak right into the mic, because then it helps people who are listening online to be able to hear. I also met with County Executive Daines and County Deputy Kurt Webb about the Cache County Library. I serve on the Cache County Library Board. That's something that's taken up quite a lot of my time in the last week. Executive Daines is proposing to cut the funding for the Cache County Library, and Providence City doesn't have its own library. So I've been working pretty much every angle I can think of to try and maintain funding for that library for not only the residents of Providence, but several other communities that also don't have their own library. So if you want to be involved with that, please let me know and I'll put you to work. Because the budget, the preliminary budget might be out today. I need to check that after I get home tonight, but they'll have their meeting on the 28th of October to present that to the Cache County Council. I'm going to be meeting with the Cache Valley Libraries Association tomorrow, and I have LPC next week with the Legislative Policy Committee. And I've talked to a lot of people today, specifically. I think I've been on the phone since 9 o'clock this morning, so hopefully we'll have some productive discussions on our agenda items tonight. And also just want to echo what Carrie said about community involvement and outreach. I was able to participate with a neighborhood to pick an elderly couple's apple orchard, and it was so good for me, for my heart, to see so many people come out and help someone in need that, you know, they've outgrown the ability to handle those things, and to see the community and the youth just show up in mass to help take care of their property was awesome. So we really do live in a good place, and we live with good friends and neighbors and a good community. So I appreciate that.
I'm happy to see so many here this evening, and especially our youth. I certainly enjoyed and want to commend the youth for the things that they did last night at the Meet the Candidate night. You're an awesome bunch. I really think you're awesome, and I think you're a good cross representative of the youth that we have in our community, and I appreciate you. I really do. So I also have been fairly busy this last period of time, from council last time to this one. I also attended the league meetings. I went one day is all I could, but in that I attended a meeting that was presented by North Ogden, where they had the fire, and their emergency management system, how it took over, how it went to work, and how Weber County stepped in to work with them and listen to the problems and concerns that came down because of things that needed to be done, and where there was failure, where there was good. And it really got me thinking about our community. And we have a pretty good emergency program in its infant stages. We have ham operators, and that's one thing they stressed, was have several ham operators, because their communication went down. Cell phones were overloaded, and they were trying to communicate with the parks, with natural resources, with Weber County, with their shelter places, and they were trying to communicate with all of them, and they had to put a ham radio operator in these locations to be able to have communication. The city had radios, but they weren't on the same frequencies as some of the other entities that were there assisting. And so I thought that was really important. Then I learned that and I've been acquainted with NIMS, which is a National Incident Management System. And there is a National Emergency Incident Management training course. It's called the training course for seniors and elected officials. And talking with Will Lusk at our Cache County Emergency Management, there's going to be this training put on in the spring of this coming year. And they do recommend highly that all council people and seniors and people that are involved in emergency management take this course and learn. what NIMS is about, all this is about. And so I would like to have our council start thinking about a possible setting time aside. And I don't have a date yet, but setting aside, it's about a 4-hour course to go through this NIMS course and learn what we do there. I've also met with Ryan and one of our, Rob Elliott, a CERT individual who's CERT trained, and we've started to put together a management of our stakes, knowing who they are. And I've talked with Rob about bringing together everybody who's CERT trained and talked about having them know who each other are so that they can assist our community in the event that we do have an emergency. And so we are working that quite well. I've also had a lot of discussions, especially today, with people regarding the things that are on the agenda this evening and their concerns on hauling the gravel off of the up in the Grandview area. I drove up there to see exactly what is going on up there. Went out on site and visited some of the issues that we are dealing with tonight to make sure I had a fresh memory of what we're going to be talking about this evening. So I also attended the Nibley and the South Valley Rec Center, as Carrie mentioned. And out of that, my takeaway was this: are we interested in participating as a community in a recreation center? It's a good chance it won't be located in our community. And if there's enough interest, are you interested in it financially so that it would be something that you would support financially? So these are kind of the premises we need to start with, and we need to put together to try and gather who would be interested and who would not be interested, because these are the steps we have to take if we want to participate in this. So I thought it was a good meeting. I thought I gained a lot of understanding, but it's available if we think we want to participate. Now, it's not a done deal. All communities, there's Hiram and Wellsville and River Heights and us, and participating in this. So anyway, I wanted to bring that forward. That's about all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
A lot of the same things, talking to citizens about items on the agenda, and some brought up the concern about the parking on Spring Creek Parkway, 500 North. So I was curious about that too, with the line on there now, what we're doing to keep people from parking in the driving lane. I'm not sure, but I'll talk to Ryan about that, I guess. The school district talked to them, and they said they're going to vote on boundary changes and the secondary DLI program locations at their meeting tomorrow. So I'll get to that or listen to it. The dual language immersion lottery opens November 1st and closes December 31st. Because of the move to magnet schools, this will be for both kindergarten and first grade. So they want to get the word out to any families that may have students entering kindergarten. Kindergarten will not be DLI, but they'll attend school at the magnet school to prepare for joining DLI in first grade. So spread the word. So it'll be a big change for many of our Providence families if you have kids going into kindergarten or first grade. And again, yeah, last night was great. 4 amazing candidates. Good luck choosing between the 4. I think they're all wonderful. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. These are your council members. They're the ones that are looking out and going to meetings and asking questions and doing their homework and making sure that we're making the best decision for the whole city. And so a big thank you goes to them for the work that they're doing. I didn't specifically welcome the youth council when we first started, but I want them to know how much we appreciate the work that they do. If you weren't with us doing the kinds of volunteering that you're doing, it would be difficult for us to run some of our programs that help bring the community together. When I ran for mayor the first time, that's one of the things that I wanted to do, was to make sure that we had things going on in the community where people are talking to one another and are sharing their thoughts and the things that are important to them. So thank you. I hope that you'll continue throughout your life to be involved in government, particularly city government, because that's where it affects you the most. So thanks. The next item is, let me just tell you, this month we've had the Metropolitan Planning Organization, of which I'm a chair. We deal with the planning of the county and funding road projects. We don't have a lot of money, but we collaborate with the Council of Governments to fund road projects and try to keep our roads in good repair throughout the county. I too was at the Utah League. I applied to be on their board of directors, but they had so many applicants and they could only take some from a limited amount from certain areas. And so I didn't make it on, but we'll do it again. I've been out looking at pieces of property to conserve. There are several in Cache Valley. I'm the chair of the state conservation fund, the Lee Ray McAllister Fund, and we only have $1 million this year. It's all the legislature gave us, and it doesn't go a long ways, but we're able to leverage other funds. We leverage the Cache County, and there are lots of different organizations that will fund the conservation of land, and that's been really interesting. I attended the rec center meeting. I did that virtually, and it was interesting to hear the comments and hear the excitement that people have about wanting to get involved in a rec center. So we'll see how that goes. Anybody in here, did you take the survey? Okay, just a few. We have about 3,500 adults, don't we, in Providence? So not a really good representation from Providence, but we did have some that filled out the survey, but will be interesting to see where that goes. Brent, it's good feedback for the ham radio. The ham radio's in my office, but I don't know how to run it. So we'll have to, I might have to take some lessons.
You are licensed? Good, teach us.
You are.
She's an electrical engineer. She has to be.
Of course she is.
That's good.
Okay, next item on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the September 17th, 2025 meeting.
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes of the September 17th, 2025
Okay, we
meeting.
have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any feedback on it? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Not all city councils or county councils allow comments, public comments, but we feel like it's important to hear from our citizens. And so at this point in time, we will allow some comments for things that are not on the agenda. We don't have any public hearings tonight, but if you have any comments that you want to make, I just want to remind you that we take positive comments too. Okay.
Hello, Council. My name's Emily Watterson, and I want to say thank you. I've spent some time on the Providence Elementary School Community Council and spent some time working with Mr. Snow on working on safe routes there. And I appreciate all the work in the work that you're doing in our community and keeping us updated. It was really refreshing to hear these updates on projects you've been working on. My comment comes and kind of leads into a question that Mr. Nebeker brought up about the bike lane on Spring Creek Parkway and the parking there. When the plan was first put forth, I specifically came to a council meeting and asked, we are in fear of losing our parking on this strip. Many of the houses on that street are smaller, do not have large driveways, but are filled with families and extra vehicles. I was told at that time that the city was not looking to remove our parking. I know that the state has now passed a law, and now we have lost our parking. My question is, what are we doing to make sure that there's parking so that family and friends can now come and visit us on Spring Creek Parkway?
I'd like to respond if I can. So when we met with each of our representatives last week, Janelle and Ryan and I, we talked extensively about how the parking law that they passed has affected Providence. And Chris put his tail between his legs and admitted that he didn't believe that his vote would affect Cache Valley. And
Scary.
Casey suggested, we talked to him about maybe some revisions that could come through the state in the next session that would make it more reasonable. Like if the parking is full in the driveway, that they would be able to be allowed to park on the street, or some revisions. So we are not disregarding your concerns, and we've addressed them with the state representatives who need to make changes.
I'm grateful to hear that. I also, when this came out, wrote to both of them and got a comment back from one of them about how they were unaware of how this affected us. So I appreciate that. But until that time, is there anything we can do? In our family, we already have 2 vehicles in our driveway, no other space, and just recently added a driver. There are at least 2 other houses where they are blocking sidewalks, which I know is a danger in another form, and cars that are parking on grass areas just because they do not have the space anymore. And we've all received the warnings about parking there.
The problem that we have is the state, and that's why all of you need to be involved in government, because they passed this law, and we all do our best to try to keep on top of what the legislature is doing, but sometimes things fall. 500 bills, who can read all those in that amount of time? But it does affect us greatly. We didn't anticipate that they would make this illegal to park there, but you understand that the city has to follow the laws that the legislature passes and makes us do. Let's see what they come up with.
Would there ever be a consideration for changing the bike lane on Spring Creek Parkway to match the of Golf Course Road, where the businesses were able to remain to keep their parking? They have not a painted lane, but they just have 3 lines and the bike, but cars continue to park there.
Cheryl instead of a bike.
Just for your information, most roads in Providence are not wide enough to allow parking, even if we didn't have bike lanes. So that's a problem as well. So I don't know, Ryan, if you want to address her question. State it again.
I'll be cautious there. I realize it's not on the agenda, and getting too far into the
Okay.
discussion isn't. But as far as I'm concerned, I have asked I've asked our enforcement.
Ryan, you should use the mic. It would be helpful.
It would be. I try to get you guys to, and then so I have asked the enforcement, although they have their own discretion and aren't under direct direction from me. I have encouraged and suggested and done what I can to help promote the idea that leniency should be given if the driveway is full and it is full coming out. That is their discretion, And as long as it's a state law, it is the law enforcement side of the discretion. So unless we were to chip seal and restripe at a different pattern, there's not a lot we can do at this spot. Certainly when we come to restripe, when we come to chip seal, we look at that striping at those times. But Spring Creek Parkway is designed as a road that is designed for bicycles and through traffic. It is a limited access road as it's defined. So the access and the parking by design are limited. So that would need to be a proposed amendment to our transportation master plan as well as our park trail and recreation master plan. Those roads are designed for through traffic as a major collector road. To have parking on a limited access major collector road is dangerous. We would encourage that to be done as little as possible, but certainly we're human, and I would hate to have a ticket or anything else issued for Thanksgiving on a party. I would hope that those giving tickets and citations still have family and they understand what their responsibility is and their discretion. But if it's clear that it's always parked and the driveway is clear, it's likely they'll still get a ticket. But if it is, that I've done as much as we've encouraged. We've met with the legislature. We never expected the legislature would dig that deep into the lives of our population and ourselves. We never predicted that the state would reach so deep. It's unfortunate.
We keep trying to get our legislators to get out of our business.
So, but
Does the state enforce that?
state can enforce it. Any law enforcement is charged to enforce the state laws.
But our local,
Is charged to enforce all state laws.
Oh.
That is their sworn duty.
That's their job.
their job. So
Thank you.
anyway, if you have other questions, I'm always happy to take them from you, Emily.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I guess maybe one question on her comment was, where do you park during the wintertime? Because of Providence, there is no street parking during the wintertime, so I understand when people come to visit, but I think long-term wise, you need to determine where you're going to park. One other comment I just wanted to make was I'm in support of the Safe Routes to Schools, and I think Providence City should actually put the sidewalk adjacent to their property, and that we should preserve what we can, the width of the road, because as the growth continues, I think that's important, and not having to redo the sidewalk and move it in 10 or 15, 20 years. But once again, I think it needs to be on Providence property, not on the resident's property, but actually on that property line. And I would continue, ask you to think about that, since that's an agenda item tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi. For those of you that I didn't meet tonight, my name's Kendra. I live on Main Street in Providence. First of all, for Janelle, I don't know if you know, but there's a listening session about the libraries tonight with Executive Danes here in Providence. So if you don't know about that, happy to share details on it. Second of all, I'm the executive director at Stokes Nature Center. And so I just want to say thanks you all for trusting us with Jayswell Park. And I hope that it is what you all expected. We're happy to have feedback if it's not. But
It's
was
lovely.
beautiful this year. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We just put the sign in. So yay.
Yay.
I think we might actually be done. Lastly, I am one of the several residents here who have had the displeasure of having to pick up the racist literature that keeps getting distributed in our community. If you haven't seen it, I brought examples because I keep finding it. And so I know you all have been asked before, but I am here to ask again that the city put out an official statement that is saying that this is not who the city of Providence is. It is clear that when we stay silent, it's going to keep happening because silence is complicity. And I personally don't want to leave a legacy that said I was silent in the face of something like this because it's wrong. That's the exact opposite of a loving and caring community. I know it's easy to dismiss it because even the message holder treats it as trash. They just throw it out the window in the middle of the night. But it's meant to intimidate and it is meant to silence people. And that's not okay because I personally would like Providence to be a place where everyone feels respected and welcomed and appreciated. And that is the opposite of this. And I completely understand that making an official statement will not make it stop. Thank heavens we live in a country that values freedom of speech and they absolutely have the right to say what they say. But just because you have the right to say it doesn't make the message right. And this message is very much wrong. I don't think it's what you all want to leave behind as a council either, that this is what keeps happening in our community. This is 3 times so far that I've had to pick it up on a dog walk, and I only walk in Providence city limits. My dog would walk longer, but she would probably kill me. So we are only within the city and it does keep happening. So I am requesting that we actually come out collectively and loudly and say that this is not what the city of Providence stands for so that everyone knows that they are welcome and that they are appreciated within our city limits. I'm happy to answer any questions about it or about Jay's Well. If you have any questions about that too on a happier
How
topic.
recent was last pickup?
This was last Sunday. Yeah.
It
And
seems
was
to happen on Sundays. My son
always Sunday mornings.
calls me because he finds them because he's walking his dog.
Yeah, we cross paths a lot. Yeah, but it's always Sunday mornings for some reason. I don't know what the reasoning behind that is, but it's always the same website. It's a different message each time, but it's always the same website. So yeah, if y'all want these, you're welcome to them. I don't need them anymore.
I think they're trash, but I would be interested, and maybe we can have this conversation through email, in your ideas for campaigning against it. So if you have ideas, I think
Sure.
we would all be interested in knowing, or any of the use ideas to help us stop this ugly paraphernalia.
I mean, like I said, it may not stop it, but it speaks volumes to our residents when we know that our elected officials and our city is behind each person that lives here, even if the message keeps happening, that people feel supported and appreciated in the face of it. So,
And you're right. That's not who we are.
Can we increase our littering fee locally? And then watch
I mean,
for
I think that's
license
the only
plates or
crime that's actually
whatever,
happening.
and-
But yeah, I've turned almost all of
Just
them into the sheriff's office,
brainstorming.
so they
Yeah.
know.
$500 or $700
Fine already.
for littering, and it's per item. If we could catch it, it would
Oh yeah,
really have to
because there's
I mean, let's just,
dozens. I was actually very concerned last Sunday. People were thinking I was distributing them because I had so many of them.
Someone smart could hack in and find out who's hosting that website.
Yeah.
maybe we figure
That I
Maybe
cannot
that's an
do,
action
but
item
someone
for
could.
us.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to do that.
Probably Charles.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kendra.
Mayor?
If you haven't been to the Stokes Nature Center, she does an awesome job there. Thank you.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Yes, please.
So, in order to determine who's doing what, a simple solution is a trail cam. If you ever felt like you would like to do something around your property, put up a little trail cam. I've done that to see who's doing what, and it's very inexpensive. And you don't even have to pay unless you turn it on to see who was there. Very nice little setup.
Kendra, are you finding them about in the same place?
Do you want me to speak that into a microphone?
Yes.
So far, yes. It's kind of within like 200, 100, like in that square block radius in there. Sometimes it's on one street, sometimes it's on the other, but it's kind of in that same general area every time. And I'm guessing just because there's a larger concentration of houses, and so they can just hit a bunch at once. But I also am living very close to the library, and there were a bunch left outside of the library one time. So yeah, it doesn't really seem to be much reason behind it, but I wouldn't expect that.
Okay. Thank you.
What time is that listening session tonight?
8:30.
Oh, so
Yeah,
It's
we might
possible.
make it.
at Edgewood Hall, which is George Daines's house.
Okay.
Yes,
Good to know.
Yes.
And the library hit NPR today.
That's excellent.
Utah Public Radio.
Awesome.
Pays to get noisy.
Okay. Anyone else?
More comments on the sidewalk now or during the agenda?
I will allow them during the agenda item. Okay, so I'll close that portion of the meeting. The next item is the swearing in of our youth council. And so Carrie,
Okay, what we're going to do,
I'm not talking.
maybe, did you all circle your name? Okay, good. I think I know everyone's names, but when I get put on the spot, sometimes I don't even say my right last name, I'll say my maiden name or something, and I've been married for 22 years. Okay, we're gonna go in reverse alphabetical order by first name. How about that? And come up here. Come up here. You can come shake the mayor's hand, and your parent can take a picture if they would like. I've got candy bars. There's Reese's. There's Hershey's. There's Hershey's with almonds. There's Reese's Pieces, and there's Kit Kats. So you can be thinking about what you want. Okay, McKenna. This is McKenna Bates. I'll give a little side hug because I like that. Maya. Maya has attended the most activities so far this year. She has hit 14 of them already this year. Mason, we are so grateful to have some young men on the youth council. Mason's awesome. Maybe doesn't want a side hug from me. But, okay, Jermaine does. He has hit the second most youth council activities and is one of our seniors. Evelyn. Oh, you're supposed to be taking candy bar as you go. I'll hand out candy bars. Okay. Evelyn, so glad you're here. Emma. Welcome. Emma was a timekeeper last night. Ellie. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Daisy. Cute Daisy. Always with the cute curly hair. And Cora. Welcome. Come on up. And Claire. I'm so glad each of you are. Oh, Claire Thompson. We actually have 3 Claires on the youth council. Claire Camp is next by alphabetical reverse order. And then her cute sister, Charlotte. And we're so glad they are here. And then Camilla is another one of our seniors and is serving as co-mayor. We decided with almost 50 youth on the council this year to have 2 gals who have been very active. Camilla's been on the youth council for 5 years. So she's actually longest ever in my tenure. And then we have Charles. Charles Clyde, he's the one that can get any computer hacking that you need done. And he was so glad last night to be timekeeper and not speaking. Aliyah is our other co-mayor and a senior, and we're just grateful for these seniors who will show up their senior year before senioritis sets in, right? I also told these girls that we probably needed co-mayors if we were having seniors because senioritis is real. Alan, come on up. Daisy's brother, and we're so glad that she brought him along. And Adam, another senior, and he brings the cool factor to the youth council, and we're so glad he's joined us. And I think that's everyone, right? Okay, the mayor is going to do a little. Will you guys squeeze together so the mom can get a picture? I'm gonna get in here too. And the newsletter and the website, and will someone text a picture to me?
What am I doing here?
Okay. Aren't they great? Look at those kids.
We really are so blessed in this area to have great kids, great people, great neighbors. You just have to go someplace else to come back and say, oh yeah, this is a great place to live. Okay, I'm going to read a statement and I'm going to have you repeat the statement. I'm going to say I, and then you say your name, and then I'll do it in shorter things so you can remember, right? Okay, I, name, do solemnly swear to uphold the laws of the City of Providence and to follow the rules as set forth for the Providence City Youth Council. I will work to support the citizens of Providence through community service. I will strive to learn government policies and procedures which will help me develop mature citizenship and leadership skills, have a sense of personal achievement, all while having fun. Okay, you're officially a youth council. Thank you so much for your help and support. And we'd love to have you stay, but if you need to go, we understand.
Thanks for coming, you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming, parents. I mean, it's super exciting.
So lucky to have them. Carrie, thank you for your work. The first year that we did it, I think, how many did you have? Maybe 10?
Yeah. That was 2020, so, but yeah, there's about 10.
And we've got 50, which is wonderful. That means the word has gotten out and people see it, young people and parents see it as an opportunity to grow and learn. We don't have any resolutions or ordinances. Item number 3 is a tree maintenance estimate for First East between 2nd and 3rd South. We had a typo in there. The Providence City Council will review, discuss, and may move forward on accepting an estimate from John the tree climber for the maintenance and removal of trees on First East between 2nd and 3rd South here in Providence. And there's an estimate link on the agenda. If you don't know how to get the agenda, it's on the Providence City website under City Council. So Ryan, I'll turn that to you.
All right. As we work to try to get a path inside of our Park Trails and Recreation Master Plan, we are trying to work on a trail from Providence Elementary to Providence Canyon, a safe route to get there. And that is one of the ultimate paths that we're looking at. We have the Safe Routes to School proposal, and we'll have an update on it. We have that on between the center and 4th South is what we were hoping. We had to cut some of that back. We may have to cut some more of that back And this is just taking out of the scope of the UDOT project outside of that and taking it. But regardless of whether we remove the project from the UDOT scope, it still remains inside of that core path that we're working on. We have done finished the in front of the Wallens to complete that. We are looking at potential different striping along Canyon Road to add path bike lane from Edge Hill to the church on the north side there. We're looking at ways we could stripe that and help to maintain that path. We have cleared the brush on the Edgewood Trail, the future Edgewood Trail. And so as we work down those dominoes, this is one of those that we say, regardless of what our next steps are in that path, we need to start removing some of the brush and foliage so that we can start to work on that, either under the grant, under something else. At this point, we have more project than we have money for, so we thought, well, we have this opportunity. They've just finished a good project for us and are available there on the Edge Hill Trail. And so this is the same person that did that would come and do this. So anyway, at that point, that's what this is about, is to try to clear that. Other spots, there might be other spots that we look at. We have an opportunity to be able to use material that is on our future Grandview Park property and could use that fill material potentially. That's not what this is about, but it does indicate if we clear the material and clear and grub, then we could start to develop one step or another. But that's what this is about, is to be able to clear off that material from that stretch and be able to take it off. Whether it's through UDOT or not, we're going to have to, it'll have to go to a subcontractor like this. If it goes through UDOT, it'll add price, add engineering, and add escalation. And we felt that this was a low-hanging fruit item. There has been some question whether we do this before we address the First East one. But if we're going to continue that path, the thought is we need to clear the path of where we're headed. So anyway, that's kind of the idea, and see where we go from there. So anyway, that's what I've got, and if you want to take comments or whatever.
So what you're looking for is an approval on the contract
That's correct. That would
on
be
this bid.
yes. That is the proposal that we're bringing forward, and the action would be a motion, whether you want us to proceed with that or not.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone that would like to say anything?
My name's Gifford Baugh. I think I've talked to all of you today. Just really appreciate you taking the time. I really think that you would want to wait on, you talk about brush and stuff. I think in talking to Ryan, it really means all of the trees and all of the.
It's all foliage. Yeah,
It's not.
it's all foliage.
So it basically wiping out everything on our block. I think you'd want to wait until you've decided exactly what you're doing with the sidewalk on that before you wipe it out first and then figure it out later. That would be my suggestion for that. Have your discussions on what you're doing with First East, and if plans for how are you going to handle the fill that you're putting in there. How are you going to retain it? How are you going to handle the water, and make sure it doesn't run down into our property if you're putting fill there. Just all of those. I think there's a lot of different, the water issues that are already there come in when you put in retaining walls. I don't think there's been any tests with those. I think there's just a lot of things that you would want to look at and discuss and decide on. Okay, this is the plan. This is what we want to do, and now this is what we need to do to take it out, as opposed to just killing the trees, poisoning the trees, I think has been the proposal, grinding them down and just totally raising the whole side and then deciding, okay, this is what we want to do after it. I think you want your plan in place for all those different items and say, okay, what do we need to do to affect those things first? So that would be, my suggestion on this particular item. So
Thanks,
thank you.
Keith. Anyone else? Okay, so this is our time to discuss and talk about this item and how we're going to move forward.
I was just curious who John the tree climber is. Where's he from? And did we get any other quotes? The website, but he doesn't really have a website.
Is he climbing trees?
He's just John the tree climber.
He's
John
busy
the tree
climbing
climber.
trees.
And Jeff the tree climber will do it for half the price.
So,
And I'll wait till we have another plan in place. But anyway, just
under 50,000, we don't have to do a second bid on something like this. So it came in low. Our purchase threshold for a second competitive bid is there. He is the one that completed the project for us on the Edge Hill Trail. We're comfortable with his work. He also did work for us on second east and like between first and second north. He took out those dead trees. We're comfortable with the work he's doing and the level of work he's doing. And so that's where we're at. And we have experience taking out other foliage and other trees. So
he's a real person.
He's
Okay.
a real person.
Maybe
real
once he's
quote.
paid, he'll have a real website too. Okay.
I think he just likes to do this. I think he's a licensed arborist, and he's done some work. We got introduced to him from a neighbor of some property we have up on Edge Hill, and so anyway, he's done some good work and good price. And we have used other landscapers and contractors, so we're familiar that the price is good for what it is, because we have comparable things we're doing, whether that's the cemetery that we've done recently, whether that's other areas, the landscaping.
He did the
that we have.
cemetery.
He didn't, but we have somebody else did that one, and so we have other comparable projects, but not a specific comparable bid for this piece of the puzzle. So
Okay.
Go ahead.
Ryan, a couple questions. Where in the budget will you take the $20,300?
it'll come out of the general fund, out of our streets budget. It's part of where our street is, so we'll take that out of the streets budget.
And since it's going to be, if we do the project, it's not going to happen in a day. Traffic control, how's that's going to be handled? There's buses that run up that street.
Yeah, I mean,
Traffic.
we would either detour around, depending on the foliage. We have taken out foliage on the north side of this and had to close the street for a day or two. But we would, if we ever close, we notify the bus and we notify some of those. So there's a possible chance we would need to close the road for a day or two. It's possible that would be likely.
Yeah, I need that. I just think that needs to be part of his plan,
Yeah.
or working with the city.
Yeah.
Part of the plan to
Yeah.
take care of that.
We helped him. I think the road closure was good between on Second East between there, First North and Second North. I think we had a successful road closure there for that day, and we would do that here. So
I'd make one other comment. Gifford and I have spent quite a bit of time talking about this, and I think he has a very valid point. But at this time, I feel like that we wished that we had a design, and the design we have is 60%. And that came from our engineer, and it includes a section of the project from 200 to 300 south. It's not extremely detailed, but there is a retaining wall, and it does show retaining that, and that is part of the design. And yes, I think a little bit we need to deal with the rest of the project and see if we're going to go the UDOT route, or if we're going to maybe not go the full extent of the UDOT route and see how we're going to handle the second half. And I wished we did have, in fact, a better design, but we do have a design. It is in the notes that we got out this evening, and I don't know if you've seen it. I have a printed copy here that I have printed off. We do have a design. Now, Ryan has a valid point. When you're bringing fill in or taking fill out, if it's our fill and we have a place that we're going to use it, it makes a whole lot more sense to put our fill where we need it rather than export it and turn around and import it. It is much more cost effective to bring it off one of our places and put it in another place where we're going to need it. So there's some real pros and there's some real cons to moving forward. However, the tree climber is not going to remove the roots. He will cut the trees down to ground level, and that still stabilizes the ground, and the roots will be treated with poison, so they will not. Sucker roots would be right back next spring, and we'd have the same problem all over again. But if the roots are poisoned, they will remain in the ground, stabilize the ground until such a time as we will put in the rest of the designed wall and the supporting of it. So there is some merit to those roots staying there and get rid of the foliage so that it can be clean and put fill on top of clean dirt, so there's not a layer of, and I don't know what the grass, are we going to burn the grass off so there's no grass there? What are we going to do with the grass that's there?
I haven't got to burning the grass yet. We would clear and grub before we put down material.
Okay, just so we know, put material on material, not have a layer of any type of grass or something there. So I think myself, as I've thought through this project, talked over with Gifford, I think we can move forward and still protect Gifford's property, put our fill in, do what we need to do in piping with, and still be able to come up with a plan as soon as possible. But we have to decide we're not going to use UDOT before we can move forward to come up with something else. But there is a part of there is a drawing that's part of this that came out of our engineer with this drawing at this time.
And the removal of the foliage has been consistent in this block. There is some change in the north block, but the removal of the foliage has remained the same in this block.
Yeah. So that's my feelings on it.
Thank you, Brent. Any other? Yes.
How much fill could you put in without a retaining wall in place
Well,
safely?
if we take what we have and the void we have, and we fill to a 3-to-1 slope, we can fill between what is current and what a 3-to-1 safe slope. That's kind of our safety slope is a 3-to-1. So if your math mind would tell me that, I'll order the trucks.
I'd have to have some calculus.
But
She can do it in her head.
or we'll haul the trucks until we reach a 3-to-1 and call them off. And again, this isn't about the actual fill. That's the next logical step that would pursue. This right now is clearing and grubbing and taking the foliage off, regardless of the next step. And that this bid and this decision is about whether we take the foliage off so that we can work on the next one. The next step might be piping the irrigation ditch. We'd need to work with the irrigation company on that. The next step may be a retaining wall. We'd need to figure out a contractor for that. The next step may be something else than just doing that. Maybe it is installing a drain line. Maybe it is, there is the maybes of a few different items, but all logical steps start at the clearing before we have to take care of the above surface before we can take care of the surface and subsurface. That's kind of where we're at. So I don't want to get too side into fill. There is a potential, there is an option, but that would be a potential logical step that's down the road. It may or may not be the immediate next logical step. As we clear it, then we would look to see what that next one is. And they've piped a portion of it. Maybe that's finishing that, and we could visit with the irrigation company about completing that step and what that looks like. And there's some more work involved in each of the steps, but eating this elephant is going to be a lot of bites.
So in terms of like a budget cycle, I think it's pretty clear that we need to make some adjustments to our safe routes, plan, which is item number 5. But in doing so, I mean, I just think timing wise for a budget cycle, we're either going to have to amend the budget to move up a retaining wall project, or even at least like the geotech study or whatever is needed, so that we can figure out what all our steps are, right? So to me, that looks like planning it in a capital project next June to be executed and then studied and then bid. I mean, 2.5, 3 years from now is realistic construction in my guesstimate. I mean, I don't know. Does that sound reasonable?
Nothing's reasonable.
Nothing's reasonable. But I do feel like we need to continue the path. I think that it's a good plan. I think to go from the elementary school to connect to the trail system that we've begun, and to connect the areas of our city. I mean, obviously we know that that's a tricky area topographically. But I also would be willing to consider the idea of just mowing back and clearing at least, like a 5 foot, at least, probably closer to an 8 foot swath along that side, and putting, what is it, like shouldering material? I don't know what that stuff is, but
We could put shouldering.
gravel and then stripe off the side. So this is a walking path until we have a solid plan and we can budget in the improvements. That's an idea I feel comfortable with. I think it's a medium approach.
And at that point, to bring in any fill, we need to clear out enough to do that. And so what that enough is, where that 3 to 1 slope ends us, we look and say, if this is, budget wise, we can walk down the logical steps. We know what the first step, we have a bid for that first step. If the material can be provided at relatively free, because we have it on a property that we already have and need to be moved, that becomes a fairly easy one, and a fairly cheap price wise. And then to move some of the milled material that we have to place on a shoulder. Obviously, we want at least 7 feet plus 5 feet. So at a minimum, we're going to want to have the 7 feet for snow storage. We're not talking about doing it at 8 feet, we're at least probably 15 feet. And at that point, how much between there and what's left when we're talking about that? Because once we get to that would actually be a area that would be outside of our snow storage and have a shoulder for that. Then we're talking, that's probably the edge of what we would be, our 3-to-1 anyway, and we would have had to remove the foliage to put that in. So, and that could be done, I mean, with our own material and trucks, or we could sub out some of that. But again, those are budget-wise, to do that level isn't a hard lift from where we're at if we remove the foliage, because then we already have material and crushed rock or crushed asphalt to put on. That material is already ours, and material is a large portion. So then we're just potentially using our own labor, and we'd have to have some maybe help in that, but because we'd need bigger trucks. But cost-wise to get to there isn't a big ask. The cost-wise to get to a retaining wall is a capital project that would need to be in our budgeting process. So that couldn't happen before July. Right. But potentially would happen in July depending on the budgeting. We could have an estimate. We could go through a process to get a quote and an estimate, and it probably couldn't start until July 1st though. But that's not 3 years out.
I guess we could do the estimate in the spring as part of our budget development.
So Gifford and I visited today, and one thing we talked about was the possibility of making a motion and voting on item number 3 after item number 5. I explained to him that the mayor sets the agenda, but that I would make that suggestion just in honor of the fact that they would rather keep the privacy of those trees, and potentially item number 5 would affect item number 3, that they're not mutually exclusive in my mind. But I do want to bring that up and wonder if it's a possibility.
I second that idea.
Okay. Let's table item number 4 for right now. If you want to move to do that, to table it until after we've talked about item number 5, we can do that.
Number 3.
Table item 3.
Item 3, I'm sorry. I've turned
Okay,
the
I'm
agenda
like,
over.
item 4, we can table that. Yes, so
Okay.
could I make a motion that we table number 3 until item number 5 has been voted on?
Well, okay.
It doesn't need to be motion, or just a suggestion.
We'll take,
Do a motion to do that.
let's do a motion, just make it official. So we have a motion. Jeff, you're a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we'll put that aside and let's do item number 4 quickly. Providence Grandview Park pole relocation estimate from Rocky Mountain Power. Providence City Council review, discuss, and may take action on an option to relocate a power pole in the Highlands neighborhood for the Providence Park project. So,
You ready to talk on that one?
yes, please.
So we have the property that's basically through here and down, and this is the portion of the property we have under contract that we haven't closed yet, but we have it under contract, and we expect to finalize that first of the year for tax purposes of the seller. What we're looking to do is move the power lines, these power poles. There's structures, I guess. The first one and the most helpful one to the park would be to move this this pole structure from its current location up on a knoll down to the sidewalk, right close to the sidewalk. It's a taller pole, so the cable would be at the same elevation, but it would allow us to take off the knoll and allow us to then clear the material and open up the ability of having more or a less slope to our park. So that's what that one does, and this one does the reverse, moves it to the north, moves it to basically our property line to the north, and again it's up on a hill, and so if we move that, it allows us to be able to clear and level more area to do that. So that's what this is, and I wanted to kind of give one of these, kind of maybe show what this, I've been given a potential, this is a pre-design view of a potential park in the area. So if we move these, this is kind of what it may look like. I have two pretty drawings to show what the potential would be, and this shows where the lines are now, to kind of give you an idea, and we would move those. So this is design number 1, A, and you can see how those power lines are there and they are affecting. But as we move it, we are able to, if we can move them, we open up the availability of what we can accomplish. And here's view number 2, and again, you can imagine that these would be moved out of the way and we'd have more ability to level and slope the property. But these are our 2 potential ones. We will send these out over our social media and other avenues in the next couple of weeks to get some ideas on this. But in order to move forward in some of this planning that we do have some plans for, we are asking the council to approve out of our park impact as part of our park development to move these power structures out of that way so that we can construct and work on that park as it comes up.
Are they going to do it right away?
Are they going to move the poles?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm hoping that by the end of the year, those poles, if you approve, I'm hoping that those poles will be moved within 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
That's our goal.
Now, Ryan, do we get to keep the old poles?
Oh, that's a good question. I have had that question more than once. I will answer this for you and for the public. I certainly believe it would be nice for us to have those poles. I have asked Rocky Mountain Power if we can keep the poles. They have given us a pole for the Zollinger Park, and that was a donation there. They have indicated that that's a possibility. But they certainly can't commit until we've committed to move and put in new poles, because they can't give away the poles that are currently there without new poles being installed. So they won't give me an answer until I've given them an answer if we're going to move and have spare poles that will be there. I don't know the height, but if these are the right height, there is a potential that we could put them in the Zollinger field and light the soccer and lacrosse field, which would be some of the first in at least the South Valley. That would be
awesome.
It would be nice to be able to do that. We have power conduit in for these potential poles if they can come that way, and could save us a substantial amount if they would donate those to us as we pull them out. So they've said that if they knew in advance, because I talked to them, then they wouldn't cut them and remove them that way, that they could take them out. And so if they can take them out and transport them, it might cost us a little bit, but it would certainly be a massive savings if we could utilize them for our other project.
You and I talked about this earlier, and so I think we approve option A with the condition that they approve us having the poles.
There we go. As long as they're tall enough that we could use them, because then if they're not tall enough we can use them, we don't want them.
Okay.
Because then we just have to get rid of
Then
them.
we have to get rid of them, and we have a hard time getting rid of cut up trees that are firewood in our second north. If anybody's interested in some of that, yeah, if it's not tall enough, we don't want them. But if they're tall enough, then we certainly would like to take them and use them. And they've been great to work with. So I think it's likely, but if we can move both sets, that would be great. And we would need 4 poles for the field. So it just happens to be that this would be great if it would work out.
We looking for a motion?
I am.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we
Can I ask a
approve
question?
option A. Oh, sorry.
Let's do it on discussion.
Sorry.
After the motion.
I think you mentioned that it comes out of park impact fees, is that right? And that,
Yeah, part of our park improvement. So it'd be coming out of park impact fees.
and remind me, we have, is it 2 or 3 years or something to use?
6 years.
It's 6, okay. And so we have funding and
We have almost 900,000 in our park impact fee.
that's all I need.
All right. Make your motion.
With that, I'll make a motion that we approve option A to move both sets of poles, and hopefully they're tall enough that we could reuse them down in the Thompson Park.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Further discussion?
I was just curious if, when we bought this property, did we know they had the poles and that was going to be part of this whole thing? It's probably just me and my memory.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we knew the
And
poles
then-
were there. But
Just reading through there, it was just an estimate, right? It could be more.
It-
I read somewhere that they have
yeah.
flexibility to charge us more. Can we hold them to we just can't? We're like,
it's
if
Rocky
it's-
Mountain Power, and
yeah,
and
who else is going to do it?
yeah, yeah. It
Do you negotiate with them when you get your power bill?
No,
it is an
but-
estimate, and we understand that it's an estimate, and they do a
Some
design
candles.
and get it close, and I mean I think it's rounded off to the penny, and but they always put that caveat in that there is an estimate, and
We're fine
could
with
be
that.
could be more, could be a little less. The amount of times they're pretty darn close to their estimate is most of the
Okay,
time.
just
so
curious when I see that flexibility.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, we understand that there is some flexibility when we enter this, and
There's probably not another contractor we can turn to, is there, for this project?
again, I'll do it for half.
so sweet.
You're in the wrong business, Jeff. You've got all these
Oh,
business
oh.
ideas now.
Yeah, he's looking for more work somehow.
Okay, sorry. All right, let's take a vote. Oh, sorry, Mayor. That's your job.
Okay, it's okay. Do you have further discussion? Janelle? You
No, I just
looked
didn't
like you
know
were
if it
gonna
was
say something.
worthwhile to cap the amount, but we don't really have anybody else that could move
You don't
it.
have a
No,
choice.
we just need to pay the man or the woman. Okay,
But it's less.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry, I was going to say aye. You were too quick. Aye.
So that was a yes, right? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Let's move to item number 5. This is the Safe Routes to School 100 East update and possible action. I just want to remind everyone, this is not a public hearing. This is an action item for the council. In the spirit of what I've allowed in the past, I will allow comments. But Ryan, if you would talk to this first.
Great, thank you. I come at this one a bit conflicted, to be honest, and it's a difficult one to come to because I believe we have worked in good faith. The council asked me to come back with a fully engineered design and an estimate of costs so that you could make a decision to bring back the environmental and the arborist report. And I kind of admit that I feel failed in this, but I'm not sure it's all been my fault, but I will take my responsibility. And so I come to you at this one and say, it has been a trial and a challenge. And I love the public, and it's not them. But for this project, we have had a difficult time with the engineer. We have a new engineer that doesn't have an experience in this that they assigned, and that's been a challenge. Bless his heart, he tries. But each time he turns around, UDOT comes with another requirement that he didn't know of. And we are on our 4th project manager with UDOT. Every time a project manager changes, the requirement changes. At this point, we had a change in the most recent change. As we got close to getting the project we thought was going to be to 90% and presented to UDOT, we found out that it was snagged because UDOT changed their mind, and they're requiring a geotech analysis that basically the geotech analysis would be to the level to require a retaining wall that could withstand an I-15. And that's not what we need. But because of their rigidness and their standard, and they see it as a structure, they see the same design requirement as any other structure, which is the overpasses. And that change order that the engineer is asking for at this stage, in order to get past the 60%, 70% design they're at, in order to move past the next requirement that UDOT has added, it is a request of an $87,000 change order for this geotech and design work for this new requirement that UDOT's added. One, I can't in good conscience approve that because at that point we can't build a overpass on the edge of a road when we know there's no overpass coming, and to the level of that criteria, and what that would lead us to build. If it's 87,000 just for the study and design, I mean the estimate, they wouldn't even give me a full estimate, but even the rough estimate that they'd give would be twice the cost of the whole project. And at that point, I come without a fully engineered design, as you'd asked, but I come at a crossroads to say I can't rightfully approve this kind of change order and this kind of cost, as I don't even know that this is the last change UDOT will make on it. And so the best I can offer is a engineered estimate on the first block and a mostly designed first block. We'll finish that design if you decide to move forward. But my recommendation is that we can't reach the requirements that UDOT has set without an exorbitant amount more money from UDOT, which they're not willing to put in. That leaves us that my recommendation is to drop the south block out of the Safe Routes to School. I've talked to them. They've said that they'll accept that if that's your decision, and they'll still fund the north block. They're willing to do that. They understand that the requirement has added significant cost, and they're not willing to come with the money. And I couldn't, in good conscience, ask you to come with the money. So at this point, the decision comes to you whether you would approve that change order or whether you would drop the south block out of the grant. After that decision, then we could proceed to finish the design on the north block, and then we could bring the rest of the things to you. But as of today, what I have is a crossroads whether we'll proceed forward with this change order, and my recommendation is that we not. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. I've said I would allow comments. Again, this is not a public hearing, but I will allow comments from citizens. So do we have someone? Okay, Brian?
With the,
You've got to come up here.
with the earlier discussion on number 3, on the cutting the trees and the roots system, my experience on those is that can work, but in time, those roots will rot out and create a conduit for the water. Gifford hired me to, after the road was put in on 3rd South, he wanted to put in a pickleball court. So I dug out the hillside to the chain link fence. After I had removed all that dirt, the next day, the springs underneath the road filled up the trench that I dug. So he had to abandon that. So the springs and all the water from the other side of the street percolated over to that side, and it's a major concern for him of where that goes. He also has a drain line to the side of the house that Hammond put in. So I can see the concept you explained about leaving the roots stabilizing, but having worked with the canals, we fight those roots years later. They rot out, and then there's a straight conduit for the water. So that's my concern, leaving the roots there. If you do that, is you're going to have that pressure from the other side of those springs coming off of Miller's lot, pressuring, through that. So I think if you're going to do that, you need to reevaluate that again, how deep that retaining wall is. But it sounds like you may abandon that. But if you take that in-house, that needs to be reviewed a little bit deeper from my experience on those roots in that area.
Okay, thank you. I guess I would ask, is that water still there, Giff?
Water on the.
Do you want to come up?
Sorry, you have to come to the mic because it's recorded. Any of us who've listened online know.
I had the same problem with the planning
The
commission.
water still coming under. How many tons of gravel do we have?
At 19, it was 5 loads.
So, I mean, we have 19 tons of gravel that are there right now. We've gone deep. It goes onto our side yard. So, does it come up? It's not running up, but
But it's under there.
I'm pretty sure it's still there. I mean, it's a very wide and even the gravel that I don't know if it's like a French drain or what he put in to try to keep it off, but we tried. We really wanted a pickleball court, and we wanted it to go there, and we just couldn't get it dry. It just always runs. I think it comes under the clay level that's underneath the road, and it just runs from those springs under, and I think you're going to run into the same problem. I really think you need a water study or when you go to put a retaining wall or whatever, you're going to retain the dirt that you're putting in, even if it's just a side road there, that you're going to run into that same water problem all the way along there. You have it on the other side of the street, and you already know it because you did it a year ago with that French drain that's on the other side. And that water just runs down that French drain underneath the road and still into our property that goes into the irrigation canal that's on the side there. So the water's running.
Thank you.
We have put in we had water coming out of the road. If you remember, we did put a drain on the other side to gather some of that spring water on that side. I don't know that this would, I don't believe this would get us out of a geotech study. It's a geotech at the level at which I-15 is built, not at which a good retaining wall is built. So I think we would still look to study the water. I think we need to move forward cautiously, but I don't think we need to move forward with UDOT requirements at the level that they're asking. We certainly need to do the job right. We don't want to not do the job right. We want to do it right. We just don't need I-15 level built. We do need the right project built, though, at some point.
So
With the right engineering.
yeah, so I'd have another comment, but it wouldn't be on this part. It would be when you consider number 3 again. So
Thank you. Okay. Any, are we done with comments?
On page, Nate Worthen, I live in on Fox Ridge Drive in Providence. On page 4 of the plan set, has the alignment of the sidewalk consistent with the existing sidewalk to the south. When I was out there the other day, there's a surveyor's marker. It's labeled, it starts with an E. You remember whose name is
Irwin.
on- Yeah, Irwin. Yeah, that Irwin corner is a foot off of the back of walk that's proposed. So I think that's a property corner that would misalign the sidewalk. And so just curious if that's known, if that's a known quantity, and if the current plan is, if you choose to proceed with that, would be a taking from the existing owner because of that 1 foot difference?
We don't anticipate taking any right of way and building right on the right of way. But at this point, again, I bring to the point that this isn't a fully designed. There has been a survey, there has been some update in efforts, but the problem we're at is a crossroads to see about the additional. We can't get the engineer to do the final design until we determine whether we're going to do the change order for the geotech and the retaining wall design at the UDOT structure level. At that point, I can't get back to finishing the other part of the design until that piece of the puzzle is done. That is the crossroads. I can't come back to that because I'm stuck at this spot with the engineers. And until I can tell them yes or no, they won't finish where they're at. They have drawn that this is, until they know this one, that's where they're at. So
You're not seeking plan approval tonight, you're just seeking some
No.
direction.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Has to do with UDOT.
Thank you for the clarification. You're correct. I'm looking for direction on the change order that has come, because at this point, that's where I'm at. I don't have a full design approval, and so this isn't about approving the full design, because I don't have that. I have a impasse on a design, whether we're going to proceed with that or not.
Okay, any further comments? Okay, so I will entertain a motion, and remember the motion is about UDOT's requirements, and are we going to abandon UDOT funding for 2nd to 3rd South?
Is that what it would be, or is a change order of the project?
It's a reduction of the scope of the project, that we would remove that out of the scope of the project.
So we're essentially rejecting the change order and removing the south block.
Correct.
We
That
gotta make that
right.
motion.
that is the recommendation. Yes, that's my recommendation. Whether that's your motion or not, that's a
I
whole
would
different
make that
story.
motion if you're
Okay,
comment then.
okay, do you want to restate it?
Sure, I'll make a motion. We reject the change order from the engineer and remove the south block from the project,
From the scope?
from the scope of the project.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let's go back to item number 3. Remember, what we're asking here is to accept the estimate and give approval to go ahead with that estimate.
I have a question.
Yes.
Thinking further down the road, so ostensibly, so we've just rejected that, the retaining wall would be too expensive through UDOT. If we if we were to clear trees now and then down the road, we're getting a bid from a contractor to build a retaining wall at a lower cost of what was previously anticipated, what if that's still too high? And what if we still decide, you know, we actually don't really want to do that? Is it worth clearing off all these trees now and then down the road going, we actually need to abandon that, and we spent 20 grand removing trees, and then Boz and others have lost that privacy?
Well, we're committed to doing a walkable city. And so anything's possible, right?
And it's about moving the project forward, and that's
Right.
what we want, I think. And however, yeah, same concern.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes.
Brian, I'd like to address your comment. I know that what you're saying has merit. The concern I have is until we're ready to put in the retaining wall and compact the soil, the best we have are the roots at this time. Because if you go in and disturb the roots and don't compact it back with a retaining wall to compact against and put the structure in, you're going to wind up with even a better conduit for water, because you pull those roots out, you're going to put loose soil back in on top to fill, or leave them open wherever they were dug out with a backhoe. And then you still got that issue with loose soil with water seeping into it. So I think it comes down on our part as a city, is if we remove and grub things now, the timing is that we need to move forward in an expeditious manner to then design and have it designed and build a retaining wall, and then put our material, take out the root systems that we're talking about, compact the soil back, maybe even have to put a French drain along the back side of that retaining wall to move the water where we want it to, rather than just letting the water follow natural courses of the roots. So I'm thinking there's some timing that needs to be done there. And yes, I think it needs to be done in an expeditious manner. If we're going to take those trees out now, I think we need to move forward on the second to third south in an expeditious manner. That's my comment.
Okay.
So Brent, I rely a little bit on, a lot actually, on your expertise with, no, I'm serious. And Janelle too, with the water and taking out those trees and the roots. I take into account that the Boz and others may not want them removed, but if it's going to cause a flooding problem, then that's a big concern.
In my opinion, nothing will change as long as the roots are still there and they haven't had a chance to rot out, as Brian brought up. So as long as we move in an expeditious manner to then get the retaining wall and put in and remove the roots at that time, get those roots out of there, and compact soil, and maybe possibly a French drain. I'm no engineer, but maybe possibly a French drain to make sure it carries the water away. But when we put the sidewalk in, a walking path, it will need to slope towards the road. And the road will slope towards the walking path with a, so to speak, park strip, drainage area, where the water will come to a drainage area that we have created, rather than allowing the water
to flood the Boz.
Flood off onto Gifford's property. And that's why it's important to, yes, get maybe some work going on it and approve it in another budget year and get the job done for that section of the second to third south.
And those slopes don't exist today either.
What's that?
It's not sloped correctly today.
No, well, there is a ditch there, but if we put fill in. We need to correct the slope when we do the project,
Right.
but that'll be engineered. But I just think it's expeditious that we get this thing done. We don't horse around with it for a long time. If we're committed to it, let's get it in a budget and get it done as soon as we can.
Gif?
I guess that's one of my concerns is it sounds like the decision is to, the taking out the trees decision is not just a taking out the trees decision, but we're putting in a retaining wall and we're going to do this project before any of the costs, any of those things have been looked at. So back to David's point, if you get to a point and you're like, hey, this is like you have on this point, hey, this is just too expensive. We have too many issues. We can't do it that way. We're not going to do a retaining wall. We're just going to do a walking path. If you come back to some of those later, those trees are all gone. It's not that, okay, and then it's okay, well, we already destroyed the trees and they're going to rot out and then we're going to have the water problems down the road. I just think some of those things need to be looked into before you make that decision and have some of those bids or some of those, are we going to be able to afford it as a city? Because it's city's money now. It's the citizens' money. It's not a grant. It's not someone, it's the Providence citizens' money that we're going to put into that. And at some point, and really, the reality is 2nd or 3rd South leads into 3rd to 4th South. So you really need to look at both of those together and say, how much is that going to cost too? Are we going to be able to finish the project? Because if not, it gets halfway done, or it's, I really think you just need more to look at it and see some of those costs so that you can make a decision that's going to, use that citizen money in a way that makes sense. Not just to that part, but all the way through to finish your project, to make the connections you're wanting to make. Because you might get to a point, just like you have with this one, that it just doesn't make sense. It's just too expensive. Like on Canyon Road, it's too expensive. You're not going to put a sidewalk up the hill at Canyon Road. You already know that. And with water issues and other issues, you might come to the same consideration with this. So that would be my request.
Okay, thank you. Ryan, is it feasible to get more information on, maybe you've gone down the path of getting information on how much it will cost based on the estimates that have already been done in preparation for the grant. Maybe we have that information or more than we've talked about at this meeting.
Cost for retaining wall?
Of retaining and doing the sidewalk and the drainage and the engineering and all the things along that section of along that block.
Well, I don't have the number that, but we did put in the drainage on the east side of that. We put that in as our own project and at a fairly reasonable price. So we didn't spend much to put that in. We did help to put in we took out some trees with the help of the BOS and the water company. We took out and thinned out the area a bit before, so that they could put in some piping there. I think at this point, the estimate is for all. Do I have a price today for the retaining wall? I don't, but we've asked for one. We've done a few retaining walls. We did one, not as tall, but we did one on First South, and we had a much more reasonable price on First South with that retaining wall. We've had repairs on the First South roundabout retaining wall. We put in a retaining wall on 4th East. So we're experienced in putting on in various retaining walls. That's not a uncommon project criteria. It's uncommon to build it at structures level with UDOT, but we have done a few of those. We have various retaining walls. We inspect and our engineer has redone retaining wall rules. We oversee the building of retaining walls. So our knowledge of retaining walls as a city staff is not it
exists.
it
It's not
exists.
non-existing.
Yeah,
It's-
we have that knowledge. We have seen and worked with and seen the engineering of and seen the cost of many different retaining walls throughout the city. So retaining wall, we can look at that cost that the initial estimate was and say that's not even close to what we could get something else for. So a retaining wall is not something that we have no experience with. We've done others in other places, and so this isn't something that is that unique and outrageous. Do we think we can continue with doing a retaining wall? Yeah. Does it have to be all in one monolith height wise? Maybe not. Maybe we have to have a step. Maybe we can do it monolithically, height wise. Maybe we have a separation between the road and that. Maybe we keep the sidewalk at a certain elevation. We had plans, and we've talked about on other areas that we'd have a step from the road up to a sidewalk, and then up from there. We could design a few other possibilities. I think there's a lot of variation that could happen. But at this point, and likely, I mean, we've got our
Excuse me, could we have you stop? Is interrupting what we're doing up here.
We have at this point we have an estimate and a bid for taking it all. Certainly, if we say, hey, we want to keep the largest 3 trees today, and cut the rest so that we have what to work with, and so we don't lose that potential. That's an option to you. You always have the option to approve, deny, or modify. This is the same kind of thing. You have a approval to approve, modify the scope. Maybe you want something less or more, or to deny it all outright. And so the bid and the amount is to remove all, because that's what we figured that would be the direction that was what matched the design. But that doesn't have to be the only answer tonight. I mean, maybe that is, hey, let's take out everything but, and then you tell me what that is. So at some point, the option's yours. I just want you to feel like it's a yes or no. There is some discretion to you of what you want to do.
So now that this is not part of the project or the grant,
yeah,
are we in a rush to do it? I guess I don't want to ask another question right now, but I just peacefully, what Gifford Baugh is saying makes sense to me now that this is not part of the project, and I think we have another part of the project to deal with now that we know that we're moving along with that one, and this is we're gonna have to budget this, and like you were saying, there's a lot of maybes and variables, and I think there's too many maybes and too many uncertainties. And if there's no rush, and if it's okay the way it is now, leave it until we have a plan. And again, yes, I may be accused of defending the people, but it's
Not an accusation.
I think it just makes sense to me what he's saying if we're not in any rush to remove trees.
I
if-
do think we have an urgency to create a safe path on that road. Every time I drive up that road,
Well, I mean,
I
there's.
worry about the pedestrian traffic on that road. So
I
do think there is
I
that.
agree. There's that, and there are so many other roads in Providence that don't have sidewalks in front of my own house, and so many other places that could use the funding, other than I mean, eventually we'll get there, but with how difficult it is on that slope and all the other variables, there are so many places in Providence that are dangerous to walk on because there are no sidewalks. So I'm just,
There's a bit of a rush because we have an opportunity to get material to fill.
yeah, I guess I'm not seeing the rush because there are so many other places in Providence without sidewalks that if we're going to spend that much money on retaining walls, how many other places in Providence can we provide safe sidewalks other than this one spot? And I know it's a dangerous spot. And when I walk up there, yes, I took my whole family, all 9 of them, and it's a scary road. There's a curve up above and people don't go the speed limit. You walk in the street because there's no sidewalk. But that's not the only spot. There's so many other spots in Providence. And if you took that money, think of how many safe sidewalks you could create from my house to the elementary school. So I'm not, I hope you're taking this the right way. I'm just understanding what Gifford is saying, and it makes sense to me. And it's not, I mean, now it's not part of the project, but eventually we'll get there. And it's not if, I just think when we have a clear plan for what we're doing, take out all the trees, put in the retaining wall. And I know we're feeling pressure because we have this free dirt up on the hill that we're pulling from a park. Is that correct? And we need a place to put it, and we'd like to dump it there. But that seems a little strange to me too, without a solid plan. And if we don't put it there, where do we put it? Do we keep it somewhere else, or do we just have to haul it away? Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Okay.
I don't feel any urgency to, not that I'm not talking about the safety of children on a road. I want children to be safe on a road, but I'm just saying there are so many other streets in Providence, including my own and up above my own, with the new developments going in and all the cars that'll be coming through there. Sidewalks would be easy to put in there. They wouldn't like it either, but I'd approve it.
We'll see when you
They
get on the
hear that.
council.
Yeah, I'll come with my pitchfork. No, I won't. I'm just saying, I think we can make a more clear plan, and I don't see the urgency.
Okay. Do we have a hand? Okay.
I really like that thinking process, and I do.
Name.
Oh, sorry, Nicolene Nilsson. And I live on that street, so I walk that street a lot, all the time. And I do agree that it's not safe, but I feel like using that money right there for that little section doesn't solve the problem, because we still have after that. We still have the whole hill and that corner and more engineering.
I forgot that part, thanks.
Yeah, so
It-
where
It's huge.
I think there needs to be more research, more studies, more engineering, more information before money's spent on that. And I do understand the safety issue, but spending the money to clear the trees isn't going to fix the problem for that. I mean, yeah, we'll be able to walk an extra that far, but it doesn't solve the problem. And so I think definitely more engineering, more studies need to happen.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I'm Grant Nielsen, and Nicolie's husband. But I guess is it premature to get a geotechnical report on between 200 and 300? Just because I mean, I know that you're going to grub off the top, but it seems like we all know what most of the dirt in Providence is like. It's pretty good, rocky, sandy. It's really good structurally, but that area seems to be maybe a outlier, maybe a possibility that with the drainage that goes through there, that it might be some fills or dirts, or not fills, but unsuitable dirt in that area. And if you just pile, and I guess the dirt that you're going to fill that with, if it's probably rocky, suitable, if you pile it on top of the possibly unsuitable dirt, then in the future, if you do get a geotechnical report, you find that, down below that you're going to dig it all out again anyway. I just don't know. I know that's geotechnical report is a study is expensive, and on its own right has to do some, clear out some trees and stuff even to get in there to do it. But I just wonder if a geotechnical study is reasonable at this time. That's all.
Thanks, Grant.
I think we're closer to 10,000 for a geotech for what we're looking for. If we're not having to go through structures, I think we would have the interest in doing a geotech before we put in a retaining wall, and before we put in that retaining wall, we'd have some engineering done to do that. So before a retaining wall goes in, we'd have engineering and geotech and those kind of items before the retaining wall went in. At some point, as he mentioned, and it's true, some of that brush has to come out in order to get in to take those samples, and some of that has to be done anyway. Not all of it, but some of it will have to be done to get into the right spots to take the samples. So.
Okay. Are we ready to make a motion?
There's another comment, but I'd also have a comment when you get a chance.
Okay.
Terry Davies. I apologize for interrupting, but when you had mentioned potential for stairs on the retaining wall, if we're talking about safe routes to school, nobody's going to want stairs on a retaining wall when we get there because of strollers and all things that you're talking about going on a sidewalk.
Sorry, that is stepping the retaining wall, not the sidewalk. Sorry.
No, and I apologize for talking, but it made it
No.
sound like we were in stairs.
Clarification.
Yeah, no, good clarification. No, that's having, instead of, sometimes we'll have retaining walls that are 3 feet or 4 feet in height, and then we step them, not the sidewalk.
Not just
we'll
a flat
maintain.
wall.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay. It's good to ask questions.
Would it have any merit to remove the trees and so forth from Brown's to the north, and just do minimal to be able to do a geotech report from Brown south? Would that be something that could be considered at this point in time? Because we'll have to have something removed in order to get our geotech report, as you mentioned, and there doesn't seem to be a controversy about going from Brown's north. What do you think of that?
I think we could certainly do that. Certainly, if you wanted to approve us moving forward with that, and any volunteer shrubbery, we could do that and move to seeing what our pricing for a geotech, and move forward with that and come back to you after that, if that's what you wanted. Certainly any of the options are at your decision at that point. If that's what you'd like, we'll do that. If you want to do something else, we're just bringing options of what our recommendation is, and we're trying to match that direction, and really up to whatever you as the council directs, that's where we're going to go.
I think it would be well also. Part of this project is grooming the trees. And I think that was in front of the Browns' home. And there's some issues there that could be very well dealt with. Some of the tree, I was discussing this with my wife, who's a past school bus driver, and she says in the wintertime, some of those branches get right out into the road to the point that larger vehicles need to move over the center line of the road to get past those branches with snow weighted on them. She thought it would be a good idea for the grooming of the trees. And so I guess if I was to make any kind of a suggestion, I would suggest that we deal with the section from Browns northward and take those all that brush out that's there. Look at Brown's house and groom the trees the way they should be, and possibly groom some trees going south towards Giffords, and doing what was necessary to be able to access to do a geotech report, get a price for that, so that we're still progressing in the direction we want to go without causing the great harm to Gifford and his property. And not, there's no question that stuff with the water that's there will grow back pretty fast. The sucker roots that we take out, or suckers we clip off. So that would maybe be my suggestion.
Yeah, to add that, maybe to clarify that, we take out the brush that needs to come out south of there. We leave the sycamores, and this is a good time to trim sycamores at the winter time as the leaves are starting to fall. That's a better time to prune trees, as I understand. And maybe we prune those, but we leave the sycamores for now. We prune and we take out brush north of the sycamores. And then we can have that cleared. We can work on the geotech. That doesn't take out some of that until we're ready. That's certainly a possibility if that's what you want.
Do you mind pulling up, I guess it would maybe be the plan set to kind of highlight which trees are the sycamores.
They're pretty identifiable if you go there.
I know, but I'm not there,
They're
and I'm a very
big
visual person. I
trees.
make this kind of stuff all the time.
Sorry.
They're very big trees. I know.
They're the big.
The peely bark trees.
Maybe
ones
Gifford can
between-
enlighten me. How many sycamores are there?
I think there's 4. Is there not?
There's 4.
Yeah, maybe 5. 4 or 5.
There's a couple of maples too, aren't there? Or what are those others? One right on your corner.
As you're
What's the-
identifying the brush or the other stuff, my other concern was as you take some of those out, we have a fence there, and to take those out, you're probably going to take the fence out with it. We just want to make sure that if not, the deer just run in and mow our trees down and mow our orchard down and mow our garden down at the same time. So just if they're pulling them out and they pull the fence out with them, because a lot of times they all grow together, just that be taken into consideration. That
Surgical removal.
surgical removal.
More of a surgical. He's not going to come with some. Yeah, he's not going to come with a claw.
Okay.
He's a tree climber and trims that down. At least that's what we've seen in the other 2 projects we've had him. But if there's a damage, we're committed to fixing damage. If we damage a fence, we'll work to fix it. Yeah, we're going to take care of that. We don't want you to be out without what you had before as far as fence goes. That's something we would work to take care of.
That's one thing that our public works has done well.
So yeah, and I think this guy did really well in the work he did. So we're not worried about that. But certainly, if that's a concern, we'll make sure we help take care of that.
So anyway, that's just a point too. But yeah, I think you want some of those plans in place before you just take them all out.
Thank you.
Darcy Reese, I was just wondering when the field was going to be removed from Grandview Park. Was that something that was going to be done before winter or in the summer? I mean, how much time do you have?
You don't live on Grandview.
It's happening by like 70 truckloads a day.
All right, that's all right.
70 semis a day, and I'm hearing about
If-
all of them.
If you live on Grand, yeah, yeah, if you don't live on Grandview, it's coming off there now. And they are hauling that. That's part of their.
They're using their engine brakes all the way down.
Oh, they're being heard, and we're hearing about them.
We're going to notify them not
so
to do that.
That is part of that, and they are currently doing that in spades. So yeah, that's
Maybe that was 70 trucks before 10 a.m.
no. We asked them not to be before early. Jeez, please don't get us.
Don't make it worse than it is.
No, hopefully they're not. And we put up speed signs so that we help to keep the speed down. We're trying to work with them on routes so that they're not around our schools, and certainly, yeah.
But it
Actively
is,
happening.
but it is temporary. There are some that think that we're going to have a gravel pit up there. We are not. This is temporary so that the homes can be built, the park can be built. And I've talked with Jeremy, and he's assured me that he's trying to get it done as quickly as possible so that he can move that equipment out.
There will be more available when we move the power lines, and so that opens up more
Another
potential to
possibility.
move. Yeah, so that's not being moved now, but once it's moved, so we have some time, but there is some benefit.
We're trying to help him identify places to take that stuff. So
Has the church retained their lot up on that upper level, or did they relinquish that lot?
The church has that one.
They still have that lot.
Yeah, that's across the street and up from where we're at, but
Where they were
yeah.
working at,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're-
It's on the
they're
south.
that's in the
city.
kind of in the middle.
Okay.
Can I make a motion to bring item number 3 back another time when we have?
Well, I think there are some things that
Motion.
we can do. Janelle wanted to do a motion.
Okay,
Can try
I
and
didn't.
get a second if you want. Do you want to make a motion and look for a second?
Thought I did. I was just gonna make a motion that we table it until we have more information on the trees. So
Just a clarification, would be a time-sensitive bid. If you're going to delay it a month, you're probably outside of your bid. You might as well just. reject it.
just, I guess I'd make a motion to deny the bid and come back to it when we have a better plan, when we have more information,
Okay.
because I don't see any urgency, and we can move forward with that Center Street to First South. Just take that block first from the school to First South and think about that one.
Okay, so your motion is
Another fun one. So that's my motion to just
Deny
reject
bid.
this bid. And
Okay.
when you need a few trees removed, Jeff, the tree climber, can take down trees too for half the price.
Okay, so we have
No,
a-
I'm on the city council. I don't know if that's legal or not, but
In January.
January will get you out there.
Then there's no
Whatever.
conflict of
Jeff,
interest.
the half
oh,
price
it'll
man.
be in January. Okay. No conflict
Jeff
of
the
interest.
tree
that's
climber and
what-
his 9 children. Take them all down.
Sorry,
They're cute.
I
kids.
joke a lot, but I just don't see the urgency. I think there's more urgency with Center Street to First South. Not urgency, but that's enough
Okay,
to think about
so-
at one time. So I make the motion that we deny this and think about it and get more information and make a better decision when we have all the pieces, financial,
Okay.
drainage, geo study,
Is that all part of the motion or?
all part of the motion that we wait for more information and deny this bid.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Which
I'm not
one?
entirely opposed to your motion, but I'm curious what Janelle's motion is, because I'm still sitting here in a stewing, sweating
So we're
state.
dealing with his motion. We're
I can't
waiting for a
second it.
second.
But
We'll be back to it later. We can cut
Maybe.
the trees down later in January or February.
then we can't
Okay.
get
I
the,
didn't mean that. But
Do we have a second? Okay, motion fails. So do we have another motion?
Let me think of another one. Go ahead,
I
Janelle.
would like to make a motion with that $20,000 to split the difference to do the geotech study and to clear enough brush for a safe walking path and preserve the sycamore trees. I don't know that I can say a straight line of where that clearing of the brush is, but that to me is at least 7 feet off the side of that, because no one can walk there safely at how it is now. It needs mowed and cleared at the bare minimum.
You also can't see past when you're driving. Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I need a clarification on the motion.
Okay.
So I'm trying to visualize my mind. If you take 10,000 of that for a geotech report, do we know that Jeff the tree climber or John or whoever it is going to come back and do what we want him to do for 10,000, or are we just? I'm not clear on that because I don't think we have a bid for that. So I guess we have to decide if
that's the budget, then I'll have him do what he can do for 10,000
for 10,000.
and save the sycamores.
And what about trimming up in front of the Brown property and some of those other properties?
We'll see how far
Again,
the
what he can
10,000
do for 10,000. So if he gets halfway in front of Brown's,
That's what I would understand.
okay.
Move forward with as much as can be done within that, for that budget. If that's the budget we have, then we visit with him about how much he can get done for that.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
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 Okay. So we need another motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we just not accept this bid, and again, that maybe we can get the bid first on the geo study. Maybe it'll be less than 10,000, so we can get that bid, and then we can, once we have the bid on that study, we can move forward with the bid on the geo study. And I think that's my motion.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Brent, you were a nay. Can I ask what your idea is?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, my idea is to clear from Brown's North. Do what we need to do to clear the brush out of that area. Let this man go to work and take care of that. Part of this bid was trimming the trees in front of Brown's, if you'll look at the proposal that he gave us. And then this south part was to remove all the trees. I don't think we ought to remove all the trees and all that brush at this time from Brown South. But I thought I feel that it ought to be worked with to be able to get enough clearance to be able to determine what the geotech report would be. Ryan mentioned we'd have to clear some. I don't know how much. I don't know what it would take. I don't know how large are spots. I don't know exactly those things. But I feel, and I don't know if he would reduce the price of this thing, but I think we ought to move forward with clearing it from Brown's North, trimming the trees along Brown's, and getting the trees out of the road. And I like Janelle's idea of getting enough walkway in that 7 feet that a person can get off the shoulder of the road. If there's especially if snow has been windrowed there, I mean, they might have to climb over, but at least they're not going to fall in a ditch. that get off the road and be out of the way. And not many people walk too much in the wintertime, but as soon as it starts melting a little, they like to get out. I guess that's my thoughts on this thing.
Okay, so let's
Can I ask a clarifying question?
let's go back and deal with the motion that we have. So Jeff has proposed that. Do you want to restate your motion?
I propose that we deny this because it just doesn't seem like we need to deal with this part of the safe routes right now. It's not part of the project. It's just a little section. We will get to it later. When you have more information, you'll be able to make better decisions, and
So your
it'll be more clear. So my motion is just to
deny.
to deny it
Okay.
until you all have more information. And financially with the geo study, the cost, you can either accept that cost or not, where it's all going to be on the people. There's no grant
Well,
involved in this section now.
There's no study that is part of this. So either we accept it or we deny it.
Right. I'm
So
just
you're
saying we're
denying.
denying.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second? Okay.
Can I ask a
Motion.
question?
Okay, it's pretty clear.
Will the city still clear that edge? Does that need to be included in part of this bid, or is that a separate bid to get that walking edge cleared? Is it better for us to break up that? I mean, the estimate has 3 colored sections.
So can I, what is the edge? I haven't been up there for a while. Is the edge grass and brush?
It's
and
like weeds that
Weeds.
are like
Tall weeds.
They're 20 feet
need a
tall.
waist high.
a weed eater could trim it out?
Um,
I will
not
go.
my
I will
weed
go
eater.
up there Friday
My
and
weed
trim it
eater
out.
won't cut it, but
There's still not enough space for a person to really get off the road. but
even
it's
I
safe.
mean, it's I don't know. It's probably
it's tall
it's probably
grass.
4 feet tall, right at the asphalt's edge. Grass and brush
There's a
and
ditch there that
all of those
for a
things.
section of it that people are not unable to walk the edge of the road because it's fairly close.
Okay, we still need to deal. Do we have a second for Jeff's motion?
I'll go trim the edge.
So it's dead. Now, let's start over and see if we can get another motion that we can pass.
Well, can I make my motion then?
Make your motion.
My motion is that we move forward with trimming the brush from Brown's property northward, that we and clear that. My motion is that we trim up, as been mentioned in the bid, in front of the Brown's property. And there's some clearing and some definite trimming that could be done there.
Is that the red, brown, and the red?
It's the
or
green.
orange?
It's the green.
section. Okay.
Red and green, right?
Red and green. And then the next section of that red down there, I think we ought to not move forward with clear cutting all the vegetation, but it could use some of the branches that are out into the street could use some trimming. And I don't know what needs to be trimmed, to be honest, to be able to find it, do a good geotech report. But what that would require, I think that ought to be cleared to the point we could do a geotech study so that we have to do that to know what we can do. And so if it takes clearing some brush to do that, we need to do that so we can get an idea. And so that we can have a plan, even get a plan developed, we've got to have some of that information. So that's my motion.
Well, we don't have to spend all 20,000. We can
Right.
we can surgically say, here's what needs to be removed. And if we don't spend the whole 20,000, that isn't going to make any difference with what we're doing.
So I'm just saying, back to this, can we deny this 20,000 bid and go look at that edge and
Well, we
clear it,
haven't,
and because I don't know if that motion addressed deny or accept the bid. But we
It'd
can
probably
go out
modify
and
the bid as
clear the-
necessary based on the work that he does.
okay, so Brent, what is your motion?
My motion again is that we take a look at this bid and work with the contractor to clear from Brown's property northward, to trim trees in front of Brown's property, and do enough clearing and grubbing to be able to do a geotech report, and to modify this bid with him for the work that he does at the rate that he's proposing, and see if he will accept the lowering the bid at the rate that, or the work that he's going to do for us.
So it's going to lower the scope of, we're going to lower the scope of work.
Okay.
So
So when
we
I
can give Ryan the flexibility to do what needs to be done without clear cutting everything.
Right.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Can I clarify? So it would be, so I'm looking at the map and the bid. It would be removal of the green section and the red section, but not orange.
Okay, so the red section would be removed. Is that the north? I can't tell. Is that red? Yeah. Remove all the brush in the red section. Trim the trees in front of the brown property, which is the green section.
Okay.
And on the orange property, only do what is necessary to be able to begin a geotech report to see if it's feasible to continue on doing what we're planning on doing.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Okay. Item number 6 is our November City Council meeting. This has to do with the election. And remind me, Ryan, we have to codify the election results. Pardon me? Canvas.
Canvas is the term they use. We have to canvas the
Okay.
results, and that is we accept what the county results are. We changed our meeting. We have to canvas between no
Is it 6
earlier than
days?
7 and no later than 14. And so we moved our council meeting, trying to keep it on the Wednesday, and moved it up and swapped planning commission and city council. The county has said, oh, we're going to need 13 days of the, instead of the 7. So they would normally use the 7, but they're going to need all 12 or 13. And so we'll have to do it on the Tuesday. We can't do it on a regular day because that would be beyond the 14 days. So they've told us the window of opportunity is this day.
One day.
That
Don't you love it?
that's what they've given us. And so, we
Which is
we
what?
complain
November 18th.
November 18th. So at that point,
The
that is-
Tuesday.
it's a Tuesday.
So go tell all your friends. Because we get accused of not letting people know that we've changed our date. But this is not something we're doing for our convenience. This is what
They're
we have
telling
to
us
do.
that that's the day that they'll have it ready so that we can do it on that day, and that's the only day. Because the Wednesday would be our regular one, which we moved from so that we could be within that 7 and 14 window. And they're saying, no, it has
No.
to be this day because
Okay.
that's as soon as we'll have it ready for you to canvas. And so we are stuck again by dictating the county.
Okay,
decision.
so I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we
To
move
move
the
it.
council meeting to November 18th, Tuesday, November 18th, to approve the canvas of the election
Results.
results.
Okay, we have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So, Ryan, we need to have staff reports. And the library meeting is ticking.
Want me to hurry? I'm happy to hurry. I would just like to tell you that the Zollinger Park is going along fairly well. If you haven't been there recently, we have cleared the brush. Our staff is we have some of the greatest staff. I really believe that.
Talk about tall weeds. They were like 8 feet tall. They were huge.
Yeah, and we our staff came in and put in the power trenches. We got the Rocky Mountain Power to donate the power pole to us. And so we've really built the infrastructure to put in lights on the eventually on the parking lot, along the trail that's getting worked on. We have a conduit so we could get power to the pickleball courts to be able to light them. And then we have power conduits that if these poles work out at the power line, if those work out, we have conduit that we could place those next to, and we could have a lit soccer and lacrosse, which I think is the first. I don't know that any other area has that. I've
on our new poles.
On those new poles, we could potentially light that area up as much as or as little as we want. We've got a lot of requests to light pickleballs. We've got a lot of requests to light the a grass field. So we've got lots of requests to do those things. This is a potential, and we have the conduit. We've placed the conduit in. The contractor is leveling out the material. Had to pause because of all the rain, so we have a pause in that project. But that project is going really well, and up to this point, it's 100% grant, and so we're making great progress with the money. We had an audit of the money we've gotten from the Land Water Conservation Fund over the last 100 years. And we have 3 projects. 2 of them are 40 years old, and they wanted to come and see those finally. I thought, wow, they're behind, but hey, they showed up, they came, they looked at our projects. They thought they were great. And this project's underway with that same money. The entire of the grant project was $875,000 to put into Zollinger Park for this. We have a presentation we're working on for over $1 million to help construct the Grandview Park and to put those amenities in. I've kind of given you a preview. Those will go out through our social media to get feedback of what people want in looking at that park. But we're looking at what's happening there. We have applied for the COG funding, and we aren't ranked to get funded this year, but hopefully maybe in a future year on our Third East project. And we have submitted a grant for bike lane development on Third East on a TIF application. We have applied for a grant on First North, not on. I think you're on Second North, right? Yeah. So we have a grant application on First North for sidewalk extension and some widening there from First East to Fourth East. So we've got that submitted. We haven't got prioritized, but they have accepted the grant. We just are waiting waiting patiently to move up the scale. We do have Second East money awarded and available to start the design on Second East from Second North to Second South. And we've got an engineer we're working on to start that design. So that will be coming. Environmental is already done. So that engineer started with environmental. And so they've got the environmental done and they're working on the next phases. And so that is potentially coming, and we'll have more discussions, I'm sure, on that one. we also applied and are waiting for prioritization, but applied for a grant on the corner of 4th South and First East, and we've applied for a $1 million grant to take us from that spot up Edge Hill and take us around to Spring Creek Parkway with the widening of that. Spring Creek Road, thank you. See, I do have the best staff. They'll help me even when my mind is just right there. But we're working to take that. So we truly are working on fulfilling the vision and goals of the general plan and those plans that have been laid out. We are working on a replacement of our water meters. This will be new for us in this city. After October, we expect that we'll be able to continue to do meter readings year round. We have stopped traditionally after October, but we will have replaced all residential meters, and that our goal is that they will be tower read. And when they go to tower read, we've got half of them moved already. The other half will be moved within the next 30 days. And at that point, we'll be able to read water every hour. So we'll be able to find a leak before you probably know you have a leak. We'll probably be able to tell, at least that water use. So we'll be able to read on an hourly basis. So our water system will be second to none in the valley. Our sewer system, our extension to the west side of the highway is complete. And we've received first payment on the contractors over there. And we're working on progressing on that, so that will be operational, and it is operational. We are working with Logan City on the 1200 South sewer line project. That will resolve the vast majority of what was identified as needs within our sewer master plan. And we figure that should last us for probably 20 years. And we have some future ones, but that is a big clearance for us. So that's a great one for us. So water, sewer. Garbage is doing well. We did apparently hang one. I think it's your friendly neighborhood garbage man. And so we're going to.
A garbage man?
No, we hung a garbage can.
My can got impaled by a tree today, and it's hanging.
We hung a garbage can.
Wind blew it?
No.
We think the friendly garbage man put the garbage can in the tree. So anyway,
Yours?
I'm gonna cover with spider webbing and
yeah,
one of those giant spiders or something. And
it happened to be one of our council members here. I wasn't going to call you out.
I'm happy to show pictures
the
later.
lottery,
Let's
pretty
make
much.
it. You're making lemonade.
It's
lemons.
It's
right?
definitely a Halloweenish, but we can have them come back and remove it if you have a problem. Let me know.
Kind of levitating there. My son wanted to climb in it, but
yeah, it's. But the garbage is going well. Our fiber is doing fabulous. We hit another record number of uses today, and another list of new installs came in today. We are doing well. We are not in the position of the county. We are not looking to cut the library. We are supporting the library. We have offered and have an agreement to offer the building at $1 a year. We provide the water, sewer, garbage,
Internet.
and internet. We provide all the utilities that we provide to residents. We provide this to the county for free, and the basic free use of the building. We couldn't make it more economical for them. If we tried, we couldn't make it more economical. And it's a little hurt that that would be one of the first things they'd cut.
What's
We
the
worked so
budget
well.
number that they are cutting? 250?
They've called it 230 to 250, somewhere in that range. I've heard various numbers. But you
That's
know,
the entire budget.
yeah. So I think they could have gone and made some cuts. We worked hard with them. We worked hard with the council to try to clear up our agreement. And so we thought we had a good agreement that was as feasible for them and good for the community. So we really tried. And so anyway, things are going well. We've got several projects and things we're trying to work on, and our biking marking paints have been refreshed. Our lines have been refreshed. We have new center lines in several areas that are kind of new to some. We tried to paint those on our major and minor collector roads, so we've tried to improve that. A couple of reasons for that. One, to help people understand the busy roads and identify them. It's also for evacuation purposes and emergency preparedness purposes. You will find that in our emergency plan, you go from a double yellow to a 3-lane configuration to get out of town. That's the path at which we're expecting evacuation will occur. So not only are we planning for different ones, but we are starting to lay out that emergency path. We're starting to lay out what that might be. We're working with the county, with the city of Logan, with their fire, on identifying areas of evacuation if there becomes fire. We're very cautious of those. We've just completed our wildland plan. No, not the WUI. It's the other one.
It's the fire
community wildland fire protection plan. It's got a lot of letters.
Sounds good.
So we've just finished that plan, and the state has signed off, and we're finishing a few of the signatures. And so we're making progress there. We work to maintain within our budget. We work to make sure that you are aware of our projects, and we hope that we are accomplishing what you're looking for. But if there's any questions for me or anything I can assist you with, I'm happy to take that instruction.
Thanks for all you do, Ryan.
And
And
staff.
Scarlett.
Amazing.
And Ty.
All of you.
And Rob. I actually miss seeing Rob.
He watches, but sometimes
He's
he
in his
gets up
office
really
doing work.
early, and sometimes he works really late. But he is able to facilitate in different manners than here, and we appreciate his effort and time. And yes, so I should have asked Ty, anything else you want to talk about with elections or anything else?
Ballots should be hitting the mailboxes this week.
Mike?
Mine's here. Yep.
Yep.
You got yours today? So everyone, please vote.
Anything
important?
More, Scarlett?
And educate yourself before you vote.
Yes, we had an amazing car show. I was out of town.
As was I.
As was others, but we had an amazing car show. We ordered the weather just right before we left. Scarlett and we coordinated and made sure that the weather was just right, and it didn't rain on them during the show.
It started raining like 10 minutes after. I
See,
went to
we
the end of the
scheduled it.
show and I looked at the clouds and I said, it's going to rain right after. Rain.
Yeah.
Got through the storm for 4 hours at my son's football game.
Yes, I was at state tennis, and happy to report that my daughter plays second in state tennis. I was pretty excited to be there. So anyway,
Awesome.
personal note and shout out to her if she ever chooses to listen to me when I do my report.
City council.
They do listen to city council.
So anyway, that's our report, and we'll
The work
get
you
ready
do.
for all the other things that are coming up. So
The agenda items tonight, there was a lot of work and time spent trying to make sure that we have the right thing. And the council came through tonight. They've done their homework and they've spent time talking with people, and so we appreciate the work that they've put into it and the work that the staff has done. So I'll entertain a motion
Mayor,
to.
can I make one final comment? I don't
No.
mean to belabor. Okay, then never mind.
Go ahead.
So I met with Ryan, and I took a map of the city, and in the area that I looked at was 2nd North to 4th South, 3rd, 4th South, 3rd East to 2nd West. And in that area that I looked at, there's 25 blocks. And every block has 4 sides to it. And out of the sides of the blocks, there are only 12 that do not have sidewalk.
Available to them.
One side or
Yeah.
the other. And I thought, that's really not as many as I thought there would be. And some of them were along 2nd, some along 1st, and some along 3rd. And then there's some out in the lower south area. And I thought, what a marvelous thing we're doing to achieve our general plan with the grants that Ryan is seeking to be able to complete the general plan by putting in sidewalks and eliminating a lot of those. And I really appreciate that, Ryan. I think you're really stepping up, and I think it's a good thing we're doing.
You know, you mentioned 12 of them, right?
Yeah.
You realize that 8 of them are either funded or have a grant application for them?
Great. Now there were 6 or 7 that were partial. Yeah, but yes, that's amazing. That'll just reduce that number and make it so we're accomplishing the walkability of our city multimodal. Yeah.
Well, I had a conversation today with a resident that is older, and she said, some of us older citizens are not so concerned about the parks. We're concerned about sidewalks. Yeah. We're concerned about having a place to walk that's safe. So we're going in the right direction. Thank you, Ryan, for your work.
Can I make a motion to
Yes.
adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion.